our main topic today is, it might be a controversial one again, is our top 5 favourite directors in our opinion. Hey guys, welcome to episode 10 of the Something Wicked podcast. I'm joined with my hard rocking amigo, Rob.
Good to be back.
What have you watched this week, Rob? We'll start off with that.
I've been literally sort of revisiting since, so you've obviously seen all the Snyder cut.
Okay, yeah.
Justice League stuff. Now, I'm not a massive comic book fan in general of movies either, but I do enjoy the DC universe as much problematic as it's been. So I've literally just got excited. You know, I've literally got roped into the whole Snyderverse, Snyder Cut, Justice League, and I watched it last, I think it was just over a week ago now.
It's on for a long time, isn't it?
4 hours, but I keep on, everyone who says to me, you know, oh, it's 4 hours long. It's like you binge watch a TV series in one day.
Yeah, and that's like 8 hours.
Yeah, exactly. So I said, if you can do that, you can do Justice League. And to be fair, it is split into chapters, which I know it's all one movie. But if you follow, there's some sort of like outline on the internet where you can actually watch someone's actually chopped it into pieces and say, if you watch it from this time to that time, it's like watching episodes in a way. Right. But I got, really, really absorbed in the whole fandom of it. And I really enjoyed it. It's been great. I've been watching Man of Steel again, Batman vs. Superman. You know, I think the DC universe, as problematic as it is, there's a lot of positives to it. And I've really been enjoying everything. Yeah, enjoying everything I've been doing.
Revisiting everything.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So with the Snyder Cut, I've seen a lot of people were like crying to an extent with it. Did you shed a tear for the
nothing like
Snyder
that.
Cut?
I mean, it's been a passionate, couple of like a week or so, sort of, just jumping in with conversations.
Because a lot of people are passionate about this film. I've noticed like I said, a lot of people like in tears of how good it supposedly is.
I mean, it's definitely not to that degree.
No.
Not for me anyway. I mean, it's got problems still.
Okay.
It's still flawed.
He directed it originally. Was it him that directed it originally, but the studio cut it, or?
It basically was Zack Snyder. He did direct it, and then a few issues came along in his personal life, and I think there was a few issues with the studio. He sort of stepped aside, and then Joss Whedon of Buffy fame came in, and he basically started to... reshoot scenes, and the reshoots didn't go to plan. They were obviously done, but you had Henry Cavill had to be called back to do reshoots for the Superman scenes. But the only problem was he was currently making at the time Mission Impossible 6, and his character had a mustache.
Right.
And the mustache was not allowed to be shaved off according to the contract, I think, in Mission Impossible. So they had to CGI it out. And it looks awful.
Kind of like Cesar Romero in the original Batman.
Yes.
Painted over his moustache, didn't he?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And overall, it just looks horrific. And you can tell, from the opening scene when they speak to Superman. Actually, it's I think it's some kids who do a podcast talking to Superman at the beginning.
Really?
And then, but literally, you look at him and you look at him and think, is that Henry Cavill? What's happened to him? It's like he's had some sort of surgery.
So it's bad CGI then?
It's not great. And then the movie itself was poor. I mean, it's not the worst film ever made, but the thing is, it just wasn't. It wasn't the film we expected or we wanted. And even though the Justice League Snyder Cut is far, far better, it still is not without its problems.
So we'll call it the Wheaton Cut. Compared to the Snyder Cut, what's like on a scale of 10? What's the Wheaton Cut at? Like a 4?
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah.
So what's the Snyder version? Like an 8?
Yeah, 7. I'd say.
Oh wow! So it doubles its quality in the
definitely,
film.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it added an extra 2 hours of footage to the movie, and it just fleshed out the characters more.
Right.
You got to know the characters better. There were more character development, and that was very important to people who respect the whole franchise of what DC are trying to do. And as much as, like I said, as where it goes from here, I have no idea. But yeah. Sorry to go on about it, but yeah, the Snyderverse and Snyder Cut has been my passion for the last week or so.
I've seen.
Yeah. What about yourself?
I've been literally smashing The Kingdom on Netflix.
Right,
it's a Korean TV show.
Yeah.
And basically, it's just like Korea, like thousands of years ago, when they had like katanas and stuff like that, just fighting zombies.
Historical, is it?
Yes,
Right,
that's the word I was looking
yeah.
for, historical. Yeah, and basically, but it's a different take on zombies. Like, these zombies can only... Well, I've only just finished the first season. These zombies can only survive in cold temperatures. If it's warm, they hibernate until the night time when it's cold, and then they come back out again.
Different.
And yeah, so I'm really looking forward to season 2. But yeah, it's on Netflix.
How many seasons is it?
2. There's only 2 so far.
Is it still going? Or
Yeah,
right?
I presume. Well, I presume so. It's got the line and IMDb, where I presume that there'll be more. But I highly recommend. I don't want to say too much. But yeah, it's just the everything's practical effects as well.
So that's what you always want from
exactly. There's no CGI.
No.
The zombies are really cool as well. Very. I said to my wife, the best way I can describe it is 28 Days Later in a historical sense, because the zombies are running. They're like feral, and it's weird because they die if you cut their throat or damage the brain.
Okay.
So it's like anywhere from the neck up, you can kill him.
Right.
Because I was a bit confused because he slices one's throat. He doesn't cut his head off. Normally, the decapitated zombie works.
Yeah.
He cuts the zombie's throat and it dies. It didn't bother me, but it was a new take and I enjoyed it.
That sounds. To be fair, you sold it on historical, practical effects and zombies.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
It's all. Because don't get me wrong, modern day zombie films are great. I was a big fan of World War Z when it came out.
Yeah, you know what? I put that off for so long because I read the book years ago.
Right. Yeah.
And my wife was like, listen, because I was looking for a good zombie film. She was like, watch World War Z. It's not as bad as people make out. Watch it. I was like, oh no, it's not. It's actually pretty good. It's a decent film.
I think it's very good. I was quite sad because they had a sequel planned. I think it is still planned, but they had David Fincher to direct it, and that was going to be the next step.
Yeah.
To me, I thought that's a Hollywood A-lister director taking on a sequel, which is odd.
Yeah.
Then you're considering he had nothing to do with the first film, and then going on to do a zombie film. I thought, this is really different. This is like something that you wouldn't expect of David Fincher, but apparently it's not happening now. But I think the film is happening, but just not with
David Fincher.
But maybe he might have left some involvement in it. But no, I'll check out The Kingdom.
Definitely. Everyone else do it as well because, like I said, there's only 6 episodes in the season though. But they are on for 50 minutes each, which is pretty good.
That's quite good.
Again, like you say, like I for the Snyder cut, I'm always like 4 hours, but then I've watched 6 hours worth of TV in 2 days. I should probably just watch it.
Can be done.
So anyway, our main topic today is, it might be a controversial one again, is our top 5 favourite directors in our opinion. So yeah, I'll let Rob start because go on Rob, just because I like you.
Well, always helps. It's like Chad and I've been talking the last couple of weeks, talking about how difficult we found this list.
Yeah.
I think this is probably the worst list. Well, not worst, but the hardest list we've had to compile together since we started the podcast.
I've messaged you pretty much every other day saying I can't do this.
Yeah, because you feel like Chad said it best. I think it was this morning we spoke about it. Yesterday, and he said to me, the people that we're leaving out, we feel like we're saying are bad, that they're not good directors, that they're shit, basically, and we're not.
No,
it's just because it's a list. You've got to make it, and you can't extend it. It is what it is. And but my number 5. Again, like I say, the top 4 and 5 have been the hardest choices because the top 1 was easy. That was a simple one. The 2 and 3 simple enough, but 4 and 5 was hard because that was when you had to leave people out.
I struggled everyone.
Yeah.
From 1 to 5, I was like, I think I replaced my number 1 about 10 times before I was like, no, this is it.
It's difficult. Like I say, sometimes you have to write down the names of the films of each director.
That's exactly what I did.
But my number 5 is a director that I've sort of been revisiting recently because I've been doing a little. I've been watching a lot of extras on Blu-rays recently because obviously when you buy physical media, you pay an extra price for it. More so these days, unless you can get it cheap in a charity shop or something. But I've been watching a lot of extras for commentaries and things like that. But my number 5 is James Cameron because I've been revisiting Titanic recently. I'm a big Titanic fan.
Okay.
As much as a lot of jip it gets these days. I think because we've moved on 25 years or so later. I think it's heading to that, and it can come across a bit cringy. But Cameron as a director, I've been not just revisiting Titanic, but I also went back to the Terminator, and then
he did Aliens as well.
Aliens. Yeah. I mean, again, so they're there straight away. You sit there and say, he did Terminator, he did Aliens. That straight away is just like...
Aliens is my favourite in that franchise. I prefer Aliens.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a massive Alien 3 fan. That's a big...
That's the one in the prison.
Yeah.
Great film.
I'm passionate about the movie, but Aliens is definitely the best of them all. It's the film that really did take it to another level. But it's so amazing to see and so shocking, and it rarely happens to see a sequel pretty much take over the original. I mean, the original's a great movie. I love
fight talk, that Rob. There's going to be dislikes on this now.
But you know what? Aliens and Alien are very much two different films, because Alien's a bit more of a, it's a bit more of a, a cat and mouse kind of.
Alien's a slasher in space.
Yeah, exactly.
Alien's a slasher in space.
Perfect. That's the best way. That's a perfect way to describe it. And Aliens is literally all out war.
Yeah.
It's
Game
Aliens
over,
versus
man.
Marines, yeah. Bill Paxton.
Because the guy from Terminator, the first Terminator's in Aliens, isn't he? What's his name?
Michael Bay.
That's it, yeah. He's a great actor. He's in Tombstone as well, the Great Western.
He's done a lot. I met him at Comic-Con about 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, really? Nice guy?
Well, he was a nice guy, but he didn't really speak much. He didn't say much. You can't get much out of him. And I got him to sign a Kyle Reese photo from Terminator.
Cool.
And but yeah, revisiting Terminator, and then I thought a lot about The Abyss. Have you seen The Abyss?
I have seen The Abyss.
Yeah, and that's a movie that was, it's not really classed as a James Cameron classic, but I think the fans really love it. There's been a massive call for it to come out on Blu-ray, because it's never had a Blu-ray release. It had a decent DVD release with an extended cut, and he's just a great director. He's I cannot stress how hands-on he is. And when I was going through the Titanic bonus features, he was really, he was the first guy in there, and he was the last man out, when they were in the water and things like that. He was always there, overseeing all sorts of architecture, all sorts of the sound, the story. A director is the captain of the ship.
Yeah.
No pun intended, but he is, and that's what he is, and he does show that in his movies. He really does take hold of them. He's a leader.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about James Cameron. It's like, Avatar, it's strange because
I've never watched Avatar.
Do you know what Avatar is not?
I've never seen it.
It's an anomaly, Avatar, because it came along. Let's face it,
it's the highest grossing film ever as well, isn't it?
It is now. It wasn't a couple of weeks ago. It was still the Avengers.
Oh, really?
Endgame took it over, because obviously Endgame was massive, and it was great. And then it took over. But since COVID's happened, I think in China they re-released Avatar, and Avatar's made a bit extra money, and it's now gone back to #1 again.
Oh, right.
But I guarantee that that'll just happen constantly, back and forth over the years, and it's Disney. Basically, both films are owned by Disney, so they're happy either way.
I didn't know what Avatar was made by Disney.
Well, it wasn't at the time made by Fox, but now Fox is owned by Disney.
By Disney,
so they own everything.
What I like about James Cameron is I watched the Titanic for the first time last year.
Really?
Yeah, it's Alex's favourite film.
Okay,
my wife.
Great.
And she was like, listen, because I always pick the film, and normally it's a horror film.
Yeah.
And she was like, listen, I'm picking the film tonight. Remember what's Dirty Dancing? Good film. I thought the soundtrack would bang it, although Patrick Swayze's character's a bit weird with the girl. The age, but we won't go into that.
That's another podcast.
And yeah, I really like that James, because after it, we just got Disney Plus at the time, I think.
Yeah.
And there's this big documentary with James Cameron. I love that he's like a big Titanic buff.
Yeah.
Like, he loves that ship.
Yeah.
Like, he loves everything about it. Like, he goes under in submarines looking at it.
I think he's done 13 dives.
Yeah, and I think that, like, him having that much passion and then making that film, just like, I think it's beautiful.
It's the kind of
dedication.
Yeah, obviously James Cameron had to put in a massive romance element. I mean, he said to the executives when he was trying to pitch Titanic, he said Romeo and Juliet on Titanic.
Okay.
And that's what he on a ship, basically.
Right.
And that's what and they said straight away, boom, go, you got it. But the thing is, obviously, Titanic was, had so many bad stories about it going. The future of the movie, they were saying was going to bomb big time because it was going over budget. There was a real lot of hate towards it. And when the film came out and the critics loved it,
I was going to say, because that's like a high for a film, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I mean, it was, it did become the highest grossing film of all time. And but I think it had a lot of people, a lot of teenage girls going back and forth to watch DiCaprio. To be fair, though, I did see it 7 times in the cinema. 7 times?
Yeah,
I did. I wasn't going back for DiCaprio, handsome as he is. I was going back.
Don't lie to me, Rob.
Well, the thing that I love about, when you watch a James Cameron movie and you see a certain action scene, it's a James Cameron film, because it's like, here we go. You are totally in it, and it's like, it's bang, 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 bang. And like, there's a saying that you never bet against James Cameron, because, if you bet against him, he'll come back even harder.
Right.
And
Is that a real saying, or have you just come up with that?
I said the harder bit. But never bet against James Cameron is definitely a thing, you know,
Okay.
because people like to, he's not the most likable person in the world, I don't think. I mean, I've always thought he's come across well.
I was going to say, he comes across really nice, I think.
I think so, yeah, but I think people think he's a bit, egotistic and things like that. But in my opinion,
Pretentious.
if you make those kind of movies, you can be that kind of person
Yeah.
because you have the right to.
Yeah.
And I just love what he's done over the years. And he's not really made, like I say, in the last, 30 years, since 1990, we've only had 4 films of his. Four films have been out. He's only released 4 films: Terminator 2, True Lies, Titanic, and Avatar.
He directed the Arnie film with Jamie Lee Curtis. That's a great film.
It's a great movie. I've been revisiting True Lies recently, and because again, it's another Cameron.
That is one where she drops the gun downstairs and it shoots a load of people.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a great scene.
Yeah, I mean, she did her own stunts, and when she's hanging out the helicopter.
Yeah,
that is not a stunt. I mean, obviously, you can see her face, but that's not superimposed. That is
No way.
her doing it, because people believe in James Cameron when it comes to making the movies. They want the best. He gets the best out of people, and the thing is, that's what I love about him. I think he just gets the best out of people, and his films I've never seen. I know he was a director originally of Piranha 2. I don't think he actually finished directing it. No, I think he was kicked off the movie.
Okay.
I think
the original Piranha 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Spawning. He was the original director, and before that, he was doing, like we spoke before, he was doing like effects. He did.
Yeah.
He was in John Carpenter's Escape from New York.
Yeah.
And
I only found that out the other week.
To be fair, I've heard about it for years, but I've never actually seen it written anywhere. Sometimes you like to know officially that's been done. That's true, but it is true. And I just think he is a visionary.
Yeah.
I think every shot he does, it's very fine tooth comb. He really is looks at the precision and he just focuses. And I just love everything he does. I've never been a hater against him, and I know a lot of people that do not like him, and sometimes they don't really have a reason for it. Not a really good reason, apart from they just don't like him. And it's like you've got to separate the two because he's a director.
Yeah.
It's what he gives you. It's what he, I mean, I understand people don't like certain actors for whatever reason, whatever they've done, scandals and whatnot. But you've got to sort of take your mind out of that and know that they're playing a character now, and you focus on that instead. And Cameron, like I say, I just think he always, he brings it. You want an experience. You want to go to the cinema to be entertained.
Yeah.
And that's what James Cameron will provide.
Definitely, like he's saying, his filmography is ridiculous, isn't it? When you look at some of the films he's done.
Yeah, and like I say, I mean, he had a lot. He had a little hand in the design of the Predator, and
really,
yeah, he was.
What, when it was Jean-Paul Van Damme in a prawn suit?
It might, well, I don't know at the time because they were doing basically. He was on a plane on a promotional tour for Aliens to Asia, and Stan Winston was next to him basically on the plane, and he was like, what are you doing? And he goes, I'm just doing this design for this film called Predator. And Cameron basically got a little bit involved, and I think he added a couple of bits to it.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm not too sure exactly what the final design was, but I know Cameron had a little hand in it, and it's always been talked about.
Oh, that's a cool fact. The more you know, Rob,
yeah,
teacher.
I think it's always important to dive. It's a rabbit hole. Every movie's a rabbit hole. There's lots of information in there somewhere, and it will then tail off into other parts of information from other films and other actors and actresses. And it's just amazing, like I say, and Cameron, he's not made that many films really when you compare him to, say, other big directors. He's not got a massive filmography, but every film he's done, he's always made count, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And like, The Abyss, which I think is probably the least talked about movie of his
An
career.
unsung hero.
Yeah, I think, if you want to watch something, that's like the original Titanic. It's all, it's water-based and all that kind of thing, and it's about, I mean, obviously it's diving and whatnot, and aliens and things like that. It's just it's a very, very important movie, I think, and but it's especially for effects at the time. Because obviously practical effects were coming out and CGI was popping in, and obviously then he went on to make Terminator 2, and that really revolutionised the industry. And he did that. Terminator 2 is Terminator 2.
Guns N' Roses soundtrack. Yeah, that's good stuff.
It's just a great movie, And like I say, I hate the fact that I never got to see that at the time in the cinema. I was too young. And if I did, I would have just been like, just loved it. That would have been the exact face.
You would have been Homer Simpson.
Yeah, exactly. I would have been, I just would have been proper. I love what he makes, and I'm really passionate about, him as a director. And we may never get to see a James Cameron film ever again, other than an Avatar movie, because he's making 4 sequels.
Oh God!
And the next one's out. I think it's year after next. or 2022, I think maybe. But I'm excited for it either way because he's always going to try and bring something that you've never seen.
Bring
before.
his A game.
Yeah. So your number 5.
My number 5 is George A. Romero, the grandfather of the modern zombie as we know it. And this was really hard for me because number 5, I had 3 contenders. It was George A. Romero, Lloyd Kaufman from Troma, or Takeshi Miike.
Right.
And Romero takes it because when I look through their filmography, all 3 of them, he had the most films that I enjoy.
Yeah.
That's the way I looked at it. Like Takeshi Miike's also got Itchy the Killer and
you can't lie. Like I say, if you see the list and Romero was he's changed the game, didn't he?
Changed the game.
And in many ways, like I say, he didn't just stick to one. I think people know him for zombies.
Martin.
Yeah, Martin. Yeah, that was made the same year as Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, that's what I want to get on to. Martin doesn't get enough praise.
No,
because that should be up there with Dawn of the Dead. I think that's a brilliant film.
I saw Martin donkeys ago, and that's vampire, isn't it? Sort of, not official.
No. He's either a serial killer that does vampiric things, or he's a vampire. Yeah. But yeah, I love that film so much. But he did Creepshow as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like Creepshow is. Well, it's got the spin-off series on Shudder, and everyone's loving that at the moment.
It's the test of time.
Exactly, yeah. Like Creepshow's amazing. Martin, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead. For God's sake, is the reason we have Walking Dead and things like that.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you wouldn't get Shaun of the Dead and things
exactly.
Like that. Yeah, it's definitely spawned, other directors and actors and many other people in the industry to sort of continue that kind of legacy that he's made. You ever see the film Knight Riders?
He directed that, didn't he?
Yeah, it was.
No, you know what? I was going to watch that last night, but I didn't.
It's a bizarre movie. I mean, it's like a King Arthur sort of in the modern era, sort of thing, because it's about knights, obviously, and they're on motorbikes and things like that. But it's got Tom Savini in it, and I saw it a long time ago, but I always remembered it left a mark on me because Romero, I think, is Dawn of the Dead. It's a zombie film, clearly horror film, but. It's nothing like any other zombie movie. There's
a lot of hidden meaning there. Like, Dawn of the Dead is definitely about consumerism.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. But you don't expect to go into a zombie horror flick expecting that kind of...
No.
That
exactly.
To get that from it.
I love like all the rules he broke as well. Like, obviously... Night then is it Dwayne Jones? Is it the African American actor?
Yes,
he was the first ever African American actor to be a lead, wasn't he, in like a film?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, like George at the time, obviously with everything that was going on in the '60s, George Romero put because at the time they African Americans were portrayed as like villains in the movie.
Yeah.
You had blaxploitation films and stuff like that. But obviously, in that film, the bad guy is the white fellow who's trying to make everyone go into the basement, isn't it, and try and save his family. Whereas he's like, listen, I can save you all. And I just love that Romero was like, you know what?
Broke the mold.
Exactly. I broke the mold. I just love that. Like, I just think like for the time, like he made African American actors so strong. Do you know what I mean? Like he in Ken Foree's character in Dawn of the Dead as well.
Yes.
He's one of my favourite characters of all time.
Yeah, he's got that classic. Is it? There's no room in hell. It's but it's not just the line. It's the way he portrays the line. It's perfect. That deep voice.
Exactly.
He's got that. He's a bit of a like it's a mountain.
He's a tall guy. He's a big man, isn't he?
And,
he was also was it Keenan's dad in Keenan and Kel, which blew my mind. Do you remember Keenan and Kel on Nickelodeon?
I remember it, but sorry, I know it.
Yeah.
I never watched it.
Blew my mind when I found out the other day. Ken Foree, one of our dads in the program, and I watched it as a kid. You never caught on.
Well, it's only the last 10 years or so that I've really sort of like. Because I would never think that he was like the person you see in Devil's Rejects.
Yes.
Like he looks a lot different. I think he's got a lot of weight on.
Because he's Captain Spaulding's brother, isn't
right.
he? Yeah.
He was very skinny, wasn't he? In,
yes.
Dawn of the Dead, and when you look at him, like in.
But you look at him in From Beyond, the Stuart Gordon film. He's a stocky fella in that because he's meant to be like an ex-NFL player.
Lovecraft.
Stuart Gordon. Yeah, he made that and Reanimated, didn't he? I'm sure it was Stuart Gordon.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Jeffrey Combs is in it and Barbara Crampton. But yeah, George Romero. He did Land of the Dead, which has got an Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg cameo.
That's the thing, you see. In a weird way, it's like basically his inspiration obviously was massively a part of making Shaun of the Dead. Yeah. But in doing so, it got Romero to make another film again.
Exactly.
Because I think, in a way, that they sat there and thought people want zombies again.
Exactly.
And better to get than the man himself.
But like I was saying before, Greg Nicotero did special effects on Dawn and Day, and we wouldn't have I don't like The Walking Dead personally. Sorry for any of the fans.
I'm more the comic fan.
I love the graphic novels and that. But yeah, Greg Nicotero, he's the guy who's made the new Creepshow TV show on Shudder. Again, without him doing Tom Savini.
Yeah.
Which also, he's just been in a car crash. He was on a bike and got hit by a car, so we hope you get better soon, Tom.
Is he okay?
Yeah, he's all right. He's got a bit of a gash on his head. I met Tom Savini, lovely fella, in Days of the Dead in Manchester.
Ah, right, yes.
Weekend of the Dead, sorry, yeah. I got him to sign the Sex Machine from Dusk Till Dawn.
Ah, beautiful.
Because I got there and I thought, do I get him as the biker from Dawn of the Dead? And I thought, no, he's Sex Machine, isn't he?
That kind of took him to a new level, didn't it?
Exactly. So yeah, I personally think without Romero, you wouldn't have Savini these days. No, because obviously he gave him the shot, didn't he? Do you know what I mean?
They did a great... there's a documentary, isn't there, on the Peep Show? It's with Stephen King as well.
Yeah.
It's called... I can't remember. There's a great documentary we got in the Peep Show, the making of. And but Romero, like I say, he is, to this day, he's always going to be, if you hear a zombie movie, if I ever hear about a zombie film, I straight away think of Romero.
Exactly.
It's always
the godfather of zombies, isn't he?
He is, yeah. I mean, he is the
modern zombie, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, but he also, like I say, it was more than just, it wasn't just horror for him. It was, there was always something behind it. You had to go and sometimes dig in a little bit more.
Exactly.
He was always a director that sort of
he also
made you think more.
Yes, yeah. Well, he also did The Crazies, which had a really good remake with
Tom Oliphant, is it?
Tim Oliphant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy from Scream 2.
Yes, yeah. Well, I like the original, but the remake, I thought the remake was better, personally. But I just think that's to do with budget.
The original is of his time, isn't it? I mean, he wasn't getting thrown like dollars.
Exactly.
But obviously, I think, again, Land of the Dead, I think, sort of the popularity of that helped films like The Crazies get made.
Exactly.
And I think, like I said, that's important, isn't it? All you got to do is get one movie to inspire one, and then it'll help the rest.
Because after Land, he did Diary of the Dead, didn't he?
Yeah.
Which again, I like Diary of the Dead. That doesn't get enough talk. I like that.
I've seen Diary, but I've never seen Survival.
Survival's not great.
No, but was that his last film, I think?
That was his last film, yeah.
But I think most directors work better under budget because they have to really, they have to pull everything together.
Exactly.
And they're under pressure as well. I think the pressure's there. I think when there's no pressure on a director, they're going to make more mistakes because they can afford to make mistakes. But I think when you're making a film and you've got to, for a fact that if the film that you make, this could be the decider on whether you make any going forward. Yeah. It makes you a better director, I think, in their terms, because, like I say, when you're under budget, I mean, Carpenter worked better under budget.
Yes,
and don't get me wrong, the movies he made with a good budget were still great, but you always know that the passion's more there slightly.
Well, again, going on to Tom Savini, but he remade Night of the Living Dead, which is a great film. Yes, Tony Todd, yeah. Oh, what that film is amazing as well.
I've never seen it.
It's about 1990, 5 years before I was born.
Yeah,
but
I've got it, but I've never got to watch it.
It's amazing. It's a great film.
But is it sort of like, is it taking the same story as the original?
Yeah, very much so. Bill Moseley plays it. The guy's coming to get you, Barbara.
You've got the perfect voice, isn't he?
Well, exactly. He's literally in it for 2 seconds because the brother dies at the beginning, doesn't he? Yes, yeah. It's a very good remake. But yeah, George Romero's number 5, mainly because of what he's done for the horror genre. Yeah. Because without him, we wouldn't have great films like some films I'll speak about later on, because I was just about to ruin my list. So what's your number 4, Rob?
Number 4 was, again, it was a tough one, but this director is the director of my favourite film of all time, and if I didn't include him, I thought it'd be a bit weird. Okay. Because he made a movie that has it's been my favourite film, I think, since 96, 97. No film's ever challenged it. Well, a couple of films got close, but this movie's always been my favourite, and that movie's Apocalypse Now, and that director is Francis Ford Coppola.
I thought Stanley Kubrick directed that.
No, he directed
Full Metal Jacket. Yeah, no. Okay, I'm getting mixed up.
But Coppola, I mean...
Godfather 1 and 2.
Well, Coppola's got a strange career, really, because, in the 70s, he made 4 big movies, and they were The Godfather, The Conversation, The Godfather 2, and Apocalypse Now.
Okay, I thought you were going to say Godfather 3, then never mention that film.
I don't mind it.
Oh.
I don't mind it. It's, it's not, to make... To be fair, I think if he made Godfather 3 not long after he made number 2, it might have been better. But I'm glad he didn't, because Apocalypse Now may have never gotten made. But Coppola had a massive like peak in the 70s. He won 2 Palme d'Ors, one for The Conversation, one for Apocalypse Now. He won the Best Director for Godfather 2. He won the Best Picture and the Best Screenplay for the first Godfather. The man, probably did more in like from in his 30s than some directors will do in a lifetime. And I think personally, as a fan of his movies, I think he peaked at Apocalypse Now. Apocalypse Now was massive.
Whoa, what about Bram Stoker's Dracula?
Yeah, it's a great film. But I think when you go to the likes of those movies, I mean, I suppose you really can't compare them. I mean, I did enjoy Bram Stoker's Dracula. I love his take on it. But Coppola was Coppola in that time.
Yeah, that was his peak.
Yeah, he went on to make he sort of calmed down. He did in the 80s. He made movies like The Outsiders and Rumblefish, which are more like teenage dramas.
Okay.
And they brought out the Brat Pack sort of. Well, it was like I've seen The Outsiders.
No.
Massive. It's based on a novel, and it's got the cast list is like just. Ooh. It's Patrick Swayze, Tom Cruise, Emilio Estevez, Rob Lowe, C. Thomas Howell, Ralph Macchio,
Heartthrobs.
Diane Lane. And this is before they were big names,
right?
So it's like Coppola really did give him a good push, and then he went on to Matt Dillon was also in it, who also made Rumblefish with Mickey Rourke, and he made The Cotton Club with Richard Gere, and then he went to do The Godfather in 1990, and then he sort of did Bram Stoker's Dracula, which I think was his last big movie, his last real crack at it. And it's probably his last great film as well. But I just think the passion he had in making Apocalypse Now, which is
I've never watched it. I was just the only thing I know about that film is Marlon Brando was very hard to work with on it.
Yeah, I mean he was towards the end. He was very difficult in a lot of things. I mean he made the Superman movie,
Island of Dr.
Moreau, and Mr. Stanley. Currently under bad investigations, I believe.
Oh really?
Yeah, say no more.
Bad investigation. Oh God. God damn you.
Yeah, Color Out of Space still a good film though.
I hated it.
Really?
Oh yeah, the only thing I liked about that film was when Nicolas Cage was giving the interview and the report was from the drunk.
Okay.
I thought it was the only good part of the film because it made me chuckle. I didn't really like. I like the colour. I like the colours.
He is a director. Like he's not for everyone. Definitely not now. It seems. But Hardware. Have you seen Hardware?
No, I'm going to watch that the other night as well. Actually,
that is like I mean that film is a cult movie.
Okay.
Like,
I'll have to watch it.
It's the front cover. I just love the helmet. And just I won't say too much about it, but yeah, Coppola, like I say, he came along and did these great. The 70s changed Hollywood, and movies like French Connection by William Friedkin, and then obviously The Exorcist. Taxi Driver, Apocalypse Now, Godfather. In my opinion, the 70s is the greatest decade of film ever.
Okay.
I just think it's got the films that changed everything, and Coppola went through hell to get Apocalypse Now made. He went above and beyond. Put his own money in it, and there's a great documentary called The Heart of Darkness, which will tell you everything you need to know in regards to the pain he went to get that made, threatening to kill himself, and the troubles he had with Brando. Martin Sheen, the main actor, the lead of the film, had a heart attack on set.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, the sets were destroyed by I think it was typhoons. The helicopters they were using were getting called away to go fight a war in the country they were making it in Asia. And it was just a crazy time, But to do that and come out with a film on top of it that the film is, which is like I can't describe sometimes Apocalypse Now. When the film is so good, I sometimes don't even like watching it because when I watch something so perfect, you're thinking, it sort of makes you a bit uneasy.
I'm not worthy.
Yeah, I feel like I should be watching it. And it's I sometimes like watching movies that have got flaws in them because you sort of spend more time with them trying to understand them a bit more. But Apocalypse Now is just like perfection throughout, and it's just like every shot. It's just like it's.
That's that one famous scene where Marlon Brando's face isn't really lit, and apparently that's because he put so much weight on, wasn't it?
Yeah, they had to like.
Because there's just that one ray of light, isn't there, on his face?
Yeah, he turned up on set overweight, didn't know his lines, sort of ad-libbed most of his lines.
Oh, really?
Movie, but that kind of worked in the end because it was perfect, but still not good for the health of Coppola.
The one thing I always come across with Coppola is that Nicolas Cage is his nephew, isn't he?
That's right, yeah.
Always blows my mind because you always think, Nicolas Cage, but his actual name is Nicholas Coppola, isn't it?
Yeah, he used him, and he was in Rumblefish with him.
What's Rumblefish about?
It's
because you keep saying it and the name makes me want to watch it.
It's honestly, it's not. I wouldn't say you're going to be entertained by it. It's kind of like a play. I think it's based on a play, actually. Yeah, I think it is.
Okay.
But it's Mickey Rourke and it's by Matt Dillon, and basically it's just a drama youth movie, and like they've got bikes, motorcycles, and stuff. I don't want to say too much about it.
No.
I don't really recommend it to people because
Okay.
it's not for everyone. It's
Right.
not. It's not a movie that I would say you'd be entertained by. I think it's a film that you find interesting. It brings out great acting.
Right.
In the likes of Mickey Rourke, who was still quite unknown at the time. You know, he was still up and coming, and Matt Dillon was, you know, he had already made The Outsiders, but he was still getting involved.
Was Mickey Rourke still good looking at this point? Or did he look like a raisin?
No, he looked amazing.
Ah.
Mickey Rourke looked like a bit of a young Marlon Brando. Really.
Okay, yeah, because like there's that weird period where he goes
The
from
90s,
like heartthrob to weird raisin man.
If you go watch Holly Davidson and the Marlboro Man,
Okay.
which is like one of my favourite films of the 90s, and it's like an action film with Don Johnson. That's probably the last time you see beautiful Mickey Rourke. You know,
Okay, beautiful Mickey Rourke.
Before the boxing got involved,
Right.
And his face got all mashed up. But and he had to have a bit of surgery here and there, I think. But still a great actor,
Yeah.
of course. But no, Coppola, like say, you know, to go. I mean, The Godfather 1 and 2 is just, you know,
Godfather 2's my favourite.
it's flawless. It is literally, you know, I mean, Godfather 1 is flawless.
Robert De Niro as young Don Vito Corleone. Oh, yeah, great.
And there's just so much. They're actually making a movie, or it might be a TV series. I'm not too sure, but it's a movie coming out about Francis Ford Coppola and the writer of The Godfather. I think it's. I mean, obviously the man who wrote the movie, wrote the book is Mario Puzo, but the man who did the screenplay, I think it's Robert Evans. But they're making a movie about it because of the the pressures they had making the movie. Because there was a lot of. I mean, you know, it's strange to say it now, but Coppola had to fight the studio to get Pacino in that movie. Because Pacino wasn't Pacino at the time,
right?
He was just another actor, and they were looking at other people. And but Coppola believed in him, and he fought for him, and he got him over the line, and all the better for it. Because obviously we do have all these great movies that Al Pacino now stars in.
Yeah,
I'm sure he would have been a great actor anyway, whether he starred in it or not.
Scarface in it.
But well, I love Scarface. That will, I'll tell you that in a minute. Actually, because number 4, you see, number 5, like you said before about Takeshi Miike, and I would have liked to have Brian De Palma.
You did say this to me yesterday,
because he made
Carrie.
But 2 of his favourite films of mine are Scarface and Carlito's Way.
I didn't realise he directed them.
Yeah, Scarface,
no, I didn't know that. Yeah,
Carlito's Way, or the Palma movies. But I would recommend watching those films
because in Carlito's Way, it's a good film.
Oh,
it's a great film.
I mean, that film only gets better with every watch.
Yeah,
I mean, I loved it as when I was growing up, but the more I watch it now, and my friends and I, we always repeat the lines to each other because it's his favourite film of all time. And but like De Palma was, De Palma and Coppola were very much like a team together. When in the 70s it was Spielberg, Scorsese, Lucas, Coppola, and De Palma, and they were a real group. Like you never see that again, kind of thing. But Coppola, because he made Apocalypse Now, he has to be in my top 5.
Your favourite film of all time. Nothing else beats it.
And the films that are close. Number 2 is Picture of Little China. Very 2 different films. Number 3 is Once Upon a Time in America, which is
great film.
Sergio Leone movie.
Yeah, that's on for 4.5 hours, right? 5 hours.
Yeah, I mean, again, that was a film with a problematic.
James Woods is great in that.
Yeah, James Woods. I mean, I'm a big fan of James Woods, and he did some great work in the 80s. And
Casino, he's in Casino as
yeah,
well. That's cool.
Casino,
So my number 4.
Yep.
And I didn't expect to put this man anywhere near my list, let alone my number 4.
You've told me your top 5.
I have.
can't actually remember now most of them.
But when I sat back and looked at his filmography, I loved every film he did.
Oh, I think you were gonna say
Wes Craven.
Yes.
Obviously, the man who made Freddy Krueger. Made this all 4 of the Scream films, which a lot of people complain about Scream 3, but I think they need.
I love Scream 3.
I love Scream 3 as well. This is why we're on a podcast together, Rob.
I think Scream 3 is like I saw Scream 3 in the cinema.
How old are you? I'm only joking.
But the Scream 3 was. I saw Scream 3 the day after I went to see Pantera in Manchester Apollo. So
That's a great weekend.
My ears were ringing. I was only 17 at the time. I think it was 17. 1999, I think it was 2000. And the movie. And I promised my friend would go watch Scream 3, and I thought, being young, I thought, yeah, I can do it. The next day, my ears were ringing. I thought, I can't go, but I did anyway. And I loved it. And it's not Scream 1, but it can't be.
No.
And it can't be Scream 2, because I think Scream 2 is one of the best sequels.
Yes, yeah.
And Wes Craven, it's great you mentioned him, because I think he's probably my favourite horror director.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Because when you look at his list, it's incredible.
You know what film that needs talking about more? The Serpent in the Rainbow.
Okay, yeah.
That film needs to be up there because I think that's a phenomenal film.
I've only seen it once, and I wasn't a big fan. Do you know why? I'm not a big fan of Voodoo.
Oh, okay.
Voodoo is like, I'm not, to me, Voodoo gets under my skin.
But in my head, then I had an image. You had a fight with like a voodoo priest or something. That's why you don't get along with it.
That would be a curse I would not like. But I see it in movies all the time.
Yeah.
I always feel a bit, whoa.
Yeah, creeps you out a little.
Because it's very grimy. It's very great.
Yes.
It's just dirty,
Yeah, they murder a lot of animals.
Yeah, and I think that could be it. You see chickens getting their throat slit, and but Something in the Rainbow is definitely if you look back at the 80s horror films, there's no film really like Something in the Rainbow.
No.
And there's a lot of films like say Deadly Blessing and Deadly Fiend.
Friend, wasn't it? Deadly Friend, one of the robot.
Yeah, with Chrissy Swanson.
Yeah, and one of the best kills ever. She throws a basketball at an old lady's head and blows her head up. That has got to be up there with one of the best kills ever.
I think whenever you see like a compilation of like the greatest gory moments of movies, that always comes in.
It's the mum from the Goonies, isn't it? Who she kills with the ball, the gangsters.
Mary, because I was talking about her last night on Mary Allen Taylor. I can't remember.
Yeah, she's the two gangsters' mum, isn't she?
I can't remember.
She hits her with the ball.
I saw Deadly Fiend, Deadly Friend. I think it was mid-90s. I think it was just before, because I went through a bit of a Wes Craven. I'm a big fan of People Under the Stairs.
I was just about to get onto that film. Yeah. I met the young lad,
Brandon Adams,
and I met Sean Whalen, Roach, and I met the guy who played the main ghoul guy under the stairs. He's got like I think he's Swedish.
Yeah, he's got his. It's always way like his monobrow.
Yes, well, lovely guys. But yeah, that film, I think that should be like out there more. Like I think in the horror community it gets a lot of love, but I feel like that should be like a really thought of film.
Yeah, it's got. I think it's got great commercial appeal. Because it's a good adventure. It's based in a house. You've got you're under the stairs, obviously, but you've got all these little secret rooms that Roach sort of takes him in and hides him and things like that. And but Craven, like I say, he has changed the genre on two big occasions. Freddy Krueger. But also, the Last House on the Left.
Again, he did that, and then The Hills of Eyes.
Hills of Eyes is,
because he did that and the sequel.
So again, he's a director, which goes back to Something in the Rainbow, who gets under my skin.
Yeah.
He's a very Hills of Eyes. I hate watching it because it's just a horrible.
The original one.
Well, I do know what, I really like the remake.
The remake's amazing.
The remake generally upsets me because I watch the not in a bad way, in a good way, but it's the scene where the dad is attached to the tree and they burn it.
Flat light.
Straight. I watch that movie and maybe it's because with age you get older and you get more emotional about things like that. But I sat there and just imagined it was my dad on that. Yeah. I wouldn't know how to comprehend that scene, and it's always affected me. When Kathleen Quinlan, his wife, and the original, like I say, it's very. It's dirty, it's grimy,
You've got Michael Berryman, who plays Pluto.
Which, is a lovely man, I believe. But when you look at him, you're terrified of him.
Yes, yeah. He looks like he was constructed in a lab.
Yeah, they said, what, we need an actor that's going to always look great in horror films, and here he is. That's how I think.
For you.
Yeah, that he was in Weird Science in a little cameo, and he speaks in Weird Science, and he speaks he looks evil and horrible, and then he speaks, and he's just normal.
Yeah, because he's again Devil's Rejects, isn't he?
Yes.
He's with Ken Follett.
That's right. Yeah.
Because he accuses the bloke of saying he wants to do weird things to the chicken.
Yeah, isn't he one of his he's one of his little psychics?
Yes. Yeah.
And but yeah, no, Wes Craven is a fantastic. I've never seen it because they always talk about an extra cut of the movie, but I've never seen Cursed.
Just about to talk about that as well, Rob.
This is chance number 4, not mine, by the way. I'm probably taking over here.
Yeah, Cursed is a very underrated werewolf film, I think. Yeah. Mainly due to there's a lot of CGI.
Well, I was going to say, I've never seen it, so it's werewolves.
I really like it, yeah. It's Christina Ricci.
Yes.
And a very young Jesse Eisenberg.
Yes.
I really like it. Again, one of those films that I think needs to get more love. I think it's down to the very bad CGI werewolves, though.
Well, hopefully, because you see a lot of. We now live in an age where going back to Snyder Cut, where films, other versions are becoming more apparent.
Yeah.
And people, I reckon the likes of Scream Factory might get hold of Cursed and maybe get hold of the original cut, and that's the version I want to see because everyone, when it first came out, everyone said, watch Cursed, and I wanted to, but then I read in a couple of articles that there's another cut of this movie that will probably never see the light of day.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, do you know what? It's worth hanging back.
I really like it. Like
So you like it as it is?
It's one of them. It's a very Wes Craven film.
Well, the thing is, though, for all we know, just because a film has an extra cut doesn't mean it's naturally going to be a better film.
Exactly, yeah.
So really, it might be actually a worse film. So I will try and watch it.
I suggest you do. Yeah, if you're a fan of Craven, you'll like it.
I love Christopher Ritchie.
Yeah, well, we'll go back to Last House on the Left because, do you know what I mean? He basically, how shocking was that film for the 70s? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That must have made people go, "What's wrong with this man?"
What came first? Was it A Spit on Your Grave? Was it?
I think Last House on the Left was 72. Was Last House on the Left?
So there you go. Again, it's a director inspiring. I'm sure it would have had some sort of like connection to what the director of I Spit on Your Grave was making.
Yeah.
He was thinking, I want to make a film like this, have my put my own spin on it.
Yeah.
And but no, Craven is a wonderful choice because I'm trying to think, because like I say, he's made a lot more.
He's made so much.
He's made he did Vampire in Brooklyn with Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, that was on my list of films. Yeah, which again, very funny film.
Yeah,
there's genuine scenes in that where you're like, oh no, this is a horror film.
Yeah,
and I love one of my favorite bits in that is Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy.
Interesting. That's a weird version.
Eddie Murphy dressed up as the Italian American.
Yes.
And he goes to like the mobsters cafe. I always think that because he does such a great impression of an Italian American.
He did it in
Raw.
Yeah, he did it
stand up.
Because he did it in he did that kind of character in Crimson America, I think.
Yes. Yeah. And that always makes me chuckle, that scene. But yeah, no, he's definitely, like I'm saying, I didn't expect to put him on my list, but when I sat down and thought about films I thoroughly enjoyed, because he wrote A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, I think, as well.
Yes, he did, yeah.
And that's my favourite Nightmare on Elm Street. He might not have directed it, but he wrote it.
Yeah, so I mean, imagine if you had, imagine if he took over. I mean, that film's already great anyway.
That's my favourite.
Imagine if he directed it as well.
Yeah.
It would have taken it to a whole new level. But what was that other film he made that was... It was really it's not. I mean, it's a horror movie to a degree, but it's a thriller as well. Red Eye. Remember Red Eye?
The one with Cillian Murphy.
Yeah,
that's a good film. That's a good film. Yeah,
and that was like sort of like a bit of a Hitchcock kind of.
Very much so. Yeah.
About him, but it was showed that. And what I like about Craven is he always stuck to the genre.
Yeah.
He never sort of like. I mean, don't be wrong. I don't mind. I've always like championed directors to get out of their comfort zone. But Craven was so good at what he did that I would rather have watched a Scream I would rather watch Scream than him go off and make a drama.
Yeah.
Because Scream is the best fun. I remember so vividly watching Scream for the first time on VHS. I never was too young to watch it in the cinema. And I was just like blown away. I was just like, it was the best. I think it's one of the most fun I've ever had in a movie.
Well, before Scream, he did New Nightmare, which again is like a satire in itself, isn't it?
Because New Nightmare.
Obviously it's about Freddy coming into the real world, isn't it? But it's done this is my interpretation of it. It's not actually Freddy. This is probably how everyone interprets it, but obviously, Freddy comes into the world and takes a demon. Comes into the world and takes the form of Freddy Krueger.
Right.
And it's just an all right. I personally, I'm not a fan.
Right.
And I've got a friend Tom. He really likes New Nightmare. But I can see why a lot of people like it because it's very much in the same vein as Scream. It's satire in itself.
Yeah.
And I love that. Yeah.
He's always actually managed to work comedy very well, though, isn't he?
Exactly. He's good at mocking himself.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Which is shocking because in a way, like you say, you wouldn't watch the earlier films of him and expect it.
No.
Because he's a very serious director, really. He wasn't. I mean, Freddy was always. Like the first Nightmare on Elm Street, I to this day find terrifying.
Yeah, the bit where cuts his fingers off and scratching down the side.
Yeah,
God,
and like when he's in the alleyway and he sort of puts his arms out and it's sort of covering you can't go anywhere. But, and just the scene where the girls, I can't remember who it was. I don't think it's Nancy. Who's the girl?
Tina.
It's Tina, is it? When she starts running in the alleyway and he starts running behind her.
Yeah,
he's nowhere near her.
She's the one who's killed in the room that's rotating. Yeah, Tina.
Well, that's one of the best death scenes of all time. But the whole, like I say, we all. Freddy Krueger did become a bit of a satire of him, a bit of a comedy.
After 3, he became...
he sort of, became a bit of a rock star, really.
Yeah.
And, but I still watch now Nightmare on Elm Street and get the shivers of that movie. It's still very, it still gets under your skin, as I keep on saying. But that's how the best way to describe it, you feel uncomfortable watching watching what you're seeing.
Yeah.
And
well, the Freddy's jumper, I've read somewhere that apparently though that shade of red and green put together is the scariest colour for your eyes or something. It's the one that invokes fear the most, and that's why I use those two shades.
wow, okay.
I read that. I read that in like a thing about Nightmare on Elm Street. Apparently, those two shades put together like make you feel a certain way, and it's like some kind of fear.
Wow.
And obviously, it works.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, I look at the jumper and think great design. But I don't think, like I say, you know, when you look into things, you know, you find out so much more than you bargained for.
Yeah.
But Craven is a fantastic.
That's why it's my number 4, which I didn't expect.